Call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gauck?
Here.
Mr. Parrish?
Here.
Mr. Henning? Mr. Madrell? Mr. Haas?
Here.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Here.
Mrs. Towers?
Here.
Mr. Crumper?
That is a quorum. Let's go ahead and stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, agenda changes. Okay, before we go into the public comments, Mrs. Lehman would like to address the board at this time.
Hopefully this is the last time you guys are going to have to listen to my rambling, because once again, Andy's not here to write my wonderful speech for me. As everybody knows, Andy was nominated for Superintendent of the Year for the Illinois Principal Association Southwestern Division last spring. He did not know about it. And then when he passed away this summer, they held a meeting to decide what to do, if they should go ahead and give the award to Andy or nominate somebody else, and they decided to go ahead and honor Andy and give him the award. So last month, so many of you wonderful people came and helped me accept this award on behalf of Andy, and the children and I talked about it, and we decided that the high school should have it. So I'm here to present it.
Thank you. Andy really deserves it. He's a great guy. Thank you. Okay, at this time we'll go into public comments. Does anyone have anything you want to address the board with tonight? Okay, if not, we'll go into the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions, additions, or corrections for the consent agenda? If not, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Moved by Mr. Parrish. Second by Mr. Haas. We'll start the voting tonight with Mrs. Towers.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes. Committee reports, there should be none. So we're down to Mr. Wilkerson. Do you have a report for us tonight?
I do. So academically in the past month, class of 26 ACT score reports were released by ACT Incorporated at the end of last month. FCHS had the highest average among public schools in the Metro East area. Average score was 23.7, and this was almost 3 whole points higher than the 2016 national average of 20.8. I know the students were really, really proud of that, and we really took pride in our accomplishment in doing that. Homecoming week was last week. Every day has a different dress-up day where students dress up in different themes, and it's put on by the student council. So Monday was America Monday. Tuesday was Trick or Treat Tuesday. Wednesday was Dress Your Age, so that was kind of our class distinction day. Freshmen dressed up as babies, sophomores dressed up as teenagers, juniors dressed up as adults, and then seniors dressed up as senior citizens. Thursday was Superhero Day, which went along with the theme of our dance, which was superheroes. And Friday was Freeburg Friday, which is a perennial tradition where everyone dresses up in their blue and white and gets ready for the homecoming game. The week concluded with the homecoming dance on Saturday, and that was superhero themed, like I had said before. And the Powder Puff football game was on Wednesday, September 21st, so that was a lot of fun, and they raised a lot of money for that. The math team competed for the first time on Monday, and Alex Borowski placed first individually out of their division, which is pretty impressive. We have like Althoff and Columbia and a lot of other schools in our area that are academically strong and placed really well among them. Athletically, football team played their homecoming game against Redbud. This week they'll play Columbia on Friday. Cross country hosted their home invitational last Saturday. There were a total of 26 teams that competed, which is the largest it's ever been. And we compete at Triad tomorrow and then at Peoria on Saturday. Volleyball has a game tonight against Westland, just over there. And then Thursday night against Carlisle. And then golf has a match Thursday. Jabot's hosting it at the Orchards. Music, band will compete at their first competition on Saturday at McKendree. So that's kind of their preview for their season. They have multiple competitions throughout the fall. That's pretty cool. I heard they're really fun to see because you get to see a lot of other bands along with them, so it's really interesting. And then their theme this year is the Wizard of Oz. So yeah, I'm sure you guys have been to plenty of football games and you've seen it, and they do a really good job of it. And that's all I got.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Wilkerson? If not, we'll move on to the principal's report.
Okay. First of all, we have some faculty members here tonight that I'd like to introduce. I have Mrs. Jamie Bonsall back here. She's in our resource department, teaches math. Julie Klasinski is joining us again. She's in our math department. And this is Mrs. Ann Minor. She is our junior senior guidance counselor at the high school. So I have lots of stuff for you tonight. Starting with the academics, midterm of the first quarter was last Friday already, so we're flying by pretty quickly here. Teachers are currently giving assessments for the first time for the student growth portion of their evaluations, and it's going great. And then PARC. So we have about 45 pages worth of PARC scores if anybody really wants to see them. The important kind of thing here is to remember not to compare school to school because not all schools were testing the same things. Some schools, our school tested English 3 and Algebra 2, but other schools tested English 1 or Algebra 1. So again, you kind of have to take that into stride when you look at, if the big article comes out about this school did better than this school and vice versa. Honestly, the biggest question about this is, how good of a test was it since the state pretty much abandoned it after 2 years' time. I know they are still doing it at the grade school, but I have not heard much about it. I haven't seen any comparisons yet. The scores for us were all over, which is expected on a test like that, where, there's no incentive to do well. It's not on transcripts. It's not, the kids that want to do well on it are going to give it their best effort, and the kids that are like, why am I taking this? There's nothing for me to get out of it. Some of those kids really didn't make an effort, so it's very difficult to really decide if those scores were really worth, labeling our school and how we're doing. Mrs. Minor and I attended the No Child Left Behind ESEA conference last February. There was not a single session on PARC, not a mention, nothing. I was sitting there thinking, isn't there anything? But nada. So that's pretty much a done deal. So I'm kind of curious to see how long we'll even see it in the grade schools at this point. So again, we're moving on to SAT. So we'll see that in the spring. Okay, teachers in the news. Mrs. Michelle Etter from the English department was selected as the KPLR September winner for their program called Tools for Teachers program. She was nominated by a senior student, Nate Beggs, and his mother, Kelly Beggs, for outstanding teaching practices. A video crew from KPLR will be here next week. They're going to come in and they're going to videotape her teaching in her class, and then she's going to be awarded a $500 gift certificate for supplies or whatever she needs for her classroom, and they're going to highlight her in the month of September. So congratulations to Mrs. Etter. School activities. Homecoming, yes, was a huge success. The student council, led by sponsors Doug Zergel and Colette Adrian, put on a fantastic week. The dance was Saturday. It's the first time it was held in our main gym with a total count of 519 students attending. So it was a huge night. Okay, a couple other great things about our school. The service club, led by Mrs. Klasinski back there, has started their peer tutoring program again in the mornings before school. They also hosted their first ever transfer student welcome night. On September 20th, they invited all of our transfer students to have pizza, and they all attended the volleyball game together. The art club, led by Mrs. Amanda Stewart, is starting on a mural for the Freeburg Care Center, and one for Mrs. Adrian's classroom. Model UN, led by Julie Tedford and Carl Florzik, have started working with individual students to set up their Model UN resolutions for their November conference. The Band and Guard, led by Danielle McKenzie and Kayla Braunbeyer, performed their first halftime show at the first home game, and they performed again the other night. They have some upcoming competitions at McKendree, Collinsville High School, and Effingham High School. The band, chorus, guard, and band boosters also hosted their annual yard sale and car wash. Sad and Save, led by Tina Haight and Courtney Travis, will be promoting the theme this year called Do the Right Thing because it's the right thing to do. They're going to tell you more about that coming up, and they've done something special for the students. Post-prom is kicking off their fundraising efforts. They had a dinner the other night at Rice Schneider, so they're starting that process. The Drama Club held tryouts for their 2 fall plays called Mousetrap and The Possibility of Evil. and those performances will be November 4th and 6th. The transition and life skill classes led by Eugene Neighbors and Melissa Wessel have opened their morning cafe to midget. Students can purchase breakfast items, hot chocolate, V8 Splash, and other various types of coffee in the morning. The students in those programs serve the items, they make change under supervision of their teachers, and then that money goes to also support some of the field trips that the transition and life skill kids take. Lori Crunk and Drew Gerke took a group of students to the Jostens Renaissance Education Program in Effingham, Illinois, with 1,300 other students from around the state to listen to a motivational speaker and to learn about ideas to increase student ownership in their schools and things to promote school culture. Student news. Charlie Parrish was honored in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch Athletes of the Week during the week of the 29th through September 2nd. At the Metro East Invitational, Charlie finished first and was the only runner to break 17 minutes, finishing the 3-mile course at SIU Edwardsville in 16:31. Oh, sorry. Marcus Hahn and Brendan Miller are both seniors this year at our school. They both completed basic training for the Army this summer before the start of their senior year. Marcus completed his training at Fort Benning, Georgia, and Brendan completed his training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Grace Marlin won the gold medal at the SCTP Nationals for American trap shooting for ladies intermediate in Sparta. There was a picture and article about her in the paper last week, which is really cool. 4 students were also recognized as game balls for the week for their performances: Bobby Tedesco, Maddie Hurd, Miranda Schulte, and Abby Quirin. Abby was also featured last week as the Apex Network Athlete of the Month. Allison Bearketter was elected governor at Girls State over this past summer that we just found out. She gave speeches, created platforms for her leadership, and she will attend next summer in a leadership role. Kevin Wiles was supervising city workers and pouring the concrete pad for a flagpole. He's putting up at Freeburg Park for his Eagle Scout program, and he just finished that, so he's waiting for the paperwork to see if he's gonna get his Eagle Scout. Adam Haas is also very busy working on his FCHS marquee project for his Eagle Scout. I saw he was out painting. He said his troop is planning a bowling fundraiser in October to raise funds for the project, so he's working on his too. Jordan Velasquez took first place at the Jiu-Jitsu, it's about fast, National Tournament in Chicago just 2 weeks ago, which is really cool. She competed for the first time in the beginner division, which was based on age and weight, but she brought home the gold medal. So again, we're looking for lots of good stuff about our students, both in and out of school. It's a great community, parents, students, and we're pretty proud of our students. This is a really cool thing that I don't know if many of you realize just how much community service that our students and teachers are putting in. So I have a couple examples here for you. Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, which is led by Michelle Bartholomew. They started preparing and taking meals to the homeless and less fortunate in Belleville. The group is also volunteering at and preparing a meal for the Ronald McDonald House this month. Cross Country, led by Carl Florzik, Scott Nipper, and Darren Pierce, helped put on a 5K, which helped raise money for their sport and for Alzheimer's research this summer. The band, guard, and course, led by Daniel McKenzie and Caleb Brownbauer, are in the process of scheduling a highway pickup day along Freeburg Douglas Road. The volleyball team, led by Brooke and Dan Clace, worked at the Freeburg Homecoming and cleaned up after the St. Joe's picnic. Boys basketball, led by Matt Lauer, Patrick McEvely, and Josh Johnson, worked at the Freeburg Homecoming in the soda stand. The boys soccer team, led by Andy Thompson and Eugene Neighbors, helped the family of Kara Harris move out of one house and into another when there was some medical issues within 2 hours. It was very impressive. The football team, led by Ronnie Stewart, Doug Zergel, J.R. Brutlinger, John Young, and Jason Jones, cleaned up the Freeburg Park following the homecoming. They also moved picnic tables and aided in the setup for the St. Joe's picnic. The art club, led by Amanda Stewart, helped out at Chalk It Up, painting faces and helping participants with their creations. And if you look behind you, or in front of you, these are all the early projects that came in for the art class. And as you can see, we have some incredibly talented art students as usual. Each of the students on the side of the pictures, if you get a chance to come up and look at it, it explains why they chose the picture, what the medium is, what the picture means to them. Mrs. Stewart took pictures today. It's also going to be in the paper, but our kids are absolutely amazing. Along with that, something that's new this year, and I put one of these by your seat. Mrs. Stewart is promoting what's called Artsonia, which is the world's largest publishing art museum online. So the students can be a part of this, where people can view their artwork. Parents can buy keepsakes and other things regarding their artwork, so it also earns money for the art department for field trips or supplies or whatever they need. Obviously, parents have to give permission, but anybody in the world can go in and look at this and view the artwork of our students at Freeburg High School, which I think is really, really quite cool. Okay. Couple other things here, positive notes. There was a thank you note from a foster parent in our district thanking our freshman, sophomore counselor John Young, Secretary Andrea Massey, social worker Tina Haight, and assistant principal for their help and compassion in helping support a student in foster care register in the district during a very difficult time. They worked with them, helped purchase some clothes, and really just helped the foster student try to make a start here. And it was just a really heartfelt note, and there's a copy of it in your packet if you get a chance to read it. This was also really cool. I love this about our teams. This is the last thing. I know I got a lot of stuff here tonight. Mrs. Travis is our school nurse, and she got a call last Friday, September 16th, from the aunt of a Central player that broke his collarbone in the sophomore football game at Freeburg the night before. She called to compliment the care he received and said that as they were taking her nephew off the field, all the Freeburg freshman team went over, said good luck, or other words of encouragement to her nephew. Her own son has played football the last 4 years at Belleville West and has played on teams throughout his youth. She said that in all her years of watching football, she has never witnessed a team do this for an injured player on the opposing team. She said she was touched and thankful, and she asked that I let our administration athletic department know about this kindness. So lots of great things and a lot of good lessons that our kids are coming away from our families and school and community. So that's all I got.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Young?
Just a comment on the art. I happen to be in Dr. Von der Heidt's, and I don't know if I've mentioned that to Mr. Fraking earlier, but some of our students' art is displayed in that office, and it's from a few years ago, and he would more than welcome additional, I mean, if they're looking for places to display artwork, that Rural Family Medicine is looking for some.
I'll let her know. Thanks.
Anyone else? Not? Superintendent's report.
Okay, I only have a few items. First off, Coach Lahr is putting together what I'm going to call a yard sale. Found a bunch of old, used uniforms from various different teams, and they were basically just sitting in bins on a shelf, and thought it would be a good way to try to raise some money. So he's going to put some articles in the paper, let people know they come up and buy a uniform. You know, maybe it's one they played in. But these are not uniforms that we've used anymore. They're not really available for retail sale just because of they're probably no value to anybody else. So he's going to do that before the last football game, which is against DuPo on October 14th. So he'll have some things in the paper talking about that. Next item is I've got information in your packets in attachment 1. Is a preview of the upcoming fall Southwest Division IASB Fall Conference. It's Wednesday, October 5th at O'Fallon High School. If you could please let Mrs. Mead know by September 29th if you'll be attending. One of the nice things about this particular event is Mr. Madrell is going to be getting an award at this event for a Master Board Member Leadership Academy program. And so it would be nice to support him as he gets the award. Plus, these are there's usually pretty good speakers and things like that, and board members can pick up good things. So again, if you could let Jane know by September 29th if you can attend that. And the last thing I had is we've put some information on the website, and also there's some information in the packets on the upcoming school board election. The way this works is candidates pick up their packets at the St. Clair County Clerk's office. It's on the second floor. They're available to pick up now. You can actually, you could have started signing the petition September 20th, which was last week. The petitions are due December 12th through December 19th up at the courthouse. So just to let everybody know, board members and the public, that these things are available.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Frankie? If not, we will go on to old business, the new parking lot.
The parking lot, as I mentioned in the memo, I've not done any work. Mr. Haas called me and asked that that be put on hold until next spring or even after the election. And so I have not done any work on that parking lot issue.
What percent sales tax?
The, not sure how much this is out in the public yet, but the 1% sales tax that we passed a resolution to this summer is not going to be on the ballot in November. There were about 6 of the larger districts in St. Clair County did not approve the, did not pass a recommendation for it, a resolution, and they carry a lot of weight. There's probably some political wrangling going on. The fact that it was a national election was one of the other reasons that they had mentioned why this was not going to be on the ballot. But they are going to try to get this on the ballot in April. And so we as a board would probably need to address this next month with the new resolution. I know District 70 and Smithton are both planning on bringing that resolution to their board in October.
Okay, item C, conduct budget hearing regarding FY 2017 budget.
Okay, so this is the annual budget hearing, and so I've got a packet of information and I'll give it to you guys once we get into the actual hearing. So I guess we just need
Okay,
to.
yeah, I need a motion to conduct the budget hearing. Moved by Mr. Haas. Second by Mrs. Towers. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Okay, we're now in the budget hearing. At this time, before we start, if anybody in the public has any comments they would like to make on the budget, do it at this time. Okay, looks like no comments, so we'll move on then.
This is me that's passing out a report, for a better word, of what I've put together going through the budget with the help of Mrs. Schaefer, our bookkeeper. And so we'll kind of run through it, and board members, if you have any questions, I'd be more happy to try to answer them. The first thing I want to do is talk a little bit about kind of our financial history. The first part of this is the fund reduction breakdown. As I was going through the audits, and I go through all the different funds that are put together, since fiscal year 08, which is the 07-08 school year, if board members recall, that was a fairly tough time. The markets had crashed, the housing market kind of dropped, and it's kind of when the downturn started. Since then, our district has lost a cumulative $8 million in funding from all 3 of the, actually just state funding. And if you look at all of the funds, they've lost over $6 million cumulatively since that time. Our fund balances that we had built up have been reduced by a little over $2.5 million. And so we've had to spend into our reserves for that. The one positive is that our, it's not a positive if you're a taxpayer, but it's a positive for the district because we get the money. But our local funding has increased by about $500,000 in that same time period. And that has actually been one of the reasons we have been able to probably stay afloat because we were able to get that money. As has been talked before, our biggest cost to the district is salaries and benefits. In that time, since fiscal year 08, there has been some reductions. And so I've listed, we've eliminated a janitorial position, which works out to be with benefits about $50,000. Secretarial position, which works out to be about $40,000. We've eliminated our library position of about $25,000 and reduced our lunch aid, which works out to be $10,000. And that time also, we've reduced 7 teaching positions, which is about $350,000 if you use about a $50,000 estimate for teachers. A lot of those were to retirement, so typically those are higher paid teachers, so the $350,000 might actually be a low number. Our average salary and benefit increase per year is only average 1.7%. A lot of that has to do with the reduction in the employees, and in addition to our tort fund in the last year or so that has gone up. And recall the tort fund is used to help pay salaries that have to that help limit liability for the district. In reducing these, and I was a part of a lot of this, being my 9th year here in this position, or at least as administrator, we've always looked at class size. And if you go to the state's website, our class size in the last 10 years has stayed right about 21 kids a class, which is a very manageable amount. But when you go and you look at our core classes, and you know, the math, the English, the science, and the social studies, and those numbers are a little bit different. In English, the numbers have gone anywhere from 25 to 28 a student, social studies 22 to 25, math 24 to 27, and science 18 to 21. Those are manageable, and we actually are sitting more at the numbers to the right for each one of those categories. So they are manageable right now. One of the good things is, I know the class coming in from Freeburg is smaller, so we did not anticipate a big enrollment increase, which is good as far as the class sizes. So you know, we're hoping that the number of teachers that we have right now can sustain us, and we can keep going. So then I kind of went through the budget, and to kind of give you a little bit of information about the budget. The state kind of came through this year with their budget. We have an increase of our local, state, and federal funding of a little bit over $450,000, which is fantastic. But if you take, you know, $6 million minus $450,000, it still leaves us in a giant hole from the last 10 or so years. In fiscal year 15, we had a decrease of 8.09% in funding, and in last year, our decrease was almost 24% in funding from the previous year. So it's great that we got an increase in our funding, but it's not enough to kind of keep us going in the positive. We increased our tort fund over the last couple of years, about $500,000 per year. Our tort fund expenditures work out to be about $500,000. A lot of that is paid for salaries according to our risk management plan. That risk management plan is looked at on a yearly basis. It'll probably be looked at again in October. And again, that is where risk is kind of assigned to different employees throughout the district, and that money can be paid out of the tort fund as opposed to Fund 10, which is the education fund. All these funds, of course, will be looked at when we do the tax levy later this fall. And I don't have this written down, but it's just kind of a point of emphasis. Diane and I just registered for a conference at the end of October. It's through the IASA, and it's basically where they will sit down with our financial numbers, they will look at it, they will give us predictions of where they think our district is going. In addition to, it'll help us set up the levy. And so it's a service that I'm going to take advantage of, that they offer, and hopefully that will put us in give us a better picture of where we're headed. Then I kind of looked at the salaries. Last year we had a salary decrease of almost 15%. Part of that had to do, we took a hard freeze, which nobody took a pay raise, almost nobody. We had a few retired or employees that were retiring that were contractually bound to get a raise. This year we're looking at about a 2.93% increase. And so this year is the second year of the contract. It's called what is known as a soft freeze. which means teachers get their steps, but there is no money that was added to the base of the contract. Those without a step got a small $250 increase, and the non-certs got a 2% increase. Next year, it's the last year of the collective bargaining agreement with the teachers union. We're estimating that it's going to be about a 3% increase. We don't know what the non-cert increase is going to be. It's not set yet, so we're kind of doing an estimate. But those teachers without steps get a $500 increase. So those are all things that are already set in place. In order for us to end the year with a positive fund balance in all of our funds, we had to borrow money from $180,000 from the building and grounds, $200,000 from the transportation fund, and another $129,000 from working cash in order to make the education fund come out with a positive balance at the end of the year, come July. I think it's important to look at some of the cost-cutting things that are going to happen. Several of these are, well, I guess the first three bullets are because of retirements. We'll be working to eliminate the half teaching position at the end of this year, estimating that'll probably be about a $40,000 savings. We're going to have one teacher retire this year. If we replace that teacher, we're probably going to save $40,000 to $50,000 because you bring in a younger teacher, a newer teacher. Probably shouldn't say younger, a cheaper teacher. And then next year we also have another teacher who is set to retire. And again, replacing that person, we're looking to hopefully save between $40,000 and $50,000. So then I looked at, really, if you want to reduce money, I mean, anywhere you go and talk to superintendents, it has to do with salaries and benefits. So if we went through and I looked at the core classes and I eliminated one teacher from each class, the English class would jump up to 35 kids a student, social studies 33, math 30, science 25. Now one little caveat about science is we have 3 advanced placement classes in science, and those classes are typically smaller. And so those numbers in science are smaller, so therefore those 3 classes make a bigger impact. If you looked at our Bio 1 and Bio 2 classes, they are probably closer to the numbers of the other classes. So looking at eliminating teachers from the core areas, it would not benefit our students. I think it would significantly impact the learning that goes on here. A couple other things that I'm planning on doing, we have eliminated some line item budget. In fact, I talked to Coach Lahr, let him know, he's a big guy, so I let him know across the room that we were reducing his budget by $10,000. I didn't get hit, so that was good. Our goal is to keep all line items below the budgeted numbers. And then we'll keep reviewing as we go along on areas that we feel like we can reduce in the workplace, whether it's programs or realigning different things. So we're going to keep looking at that. In order for this to work, you either have to reduce how much you're spending or increase your revenue. I mean, it's pretty simple. And so some of the things that we've done to try to increase revenue, and it's not gonna save the whole school, but hopefully it'll help out with the athletic department. We've increased the athletic fees a nominal amount. We are starting to charge at underclass events, and I will tell you that we have not had, I don't think, any fallout from that. They're looking at various fundraisers. Coach Lahr is working on his. He's probably looking at about, he made up his $10,000 pretty quick with this fundraiser. Our goal is to make athletics self-sustaining so that the athletics kind of run on the money that they bring in. We've got a long ways to go. I think Mr. Lehman said last year we were about $275,000 a year that we were losing on athletics. So, we're going to have to keep working to get creative on these things. The other thing, everything depends on the state and what the state does. If the state comes through with another budget like they did this year, then that would be great. Unfortunately, I've been to a couple meetings and there's grumblings that they're worried about the state even making their payments for the rest of the year, or the payments after the first of the year. So it's tough to rely on the state. There is a commission that different parts of the state legislature have put together. That report we should get January to February, and they're looking at alternative ways to fund schools. So we'll see what that brings us. And of course, the other option is some kind of bond sale to increase the revenues. I'm not asking for that tonight. Some of the things that are not in the budget, I mentioned this at the last meeting, the boiler replacement. Talked to Bob, feels pretty confident the boiler's gonna be able to make it at least another year. That's, you know, about $500,000. And then with taking the parking lot out, I estimated that to be around $50,000. It's a complete guess, I have no clue. So those are some of the other things. And then I thought that I would do a little question and answer. I did get a few questions from board members, and so that's what the next page has to do. So the next one it talks about what we have done historically with our budget. And if you go through the budgets from 12 to 15, 16 is not audited, so we can't make the comparison. 17, of course, is the year that we're in, and I didn't have quickly available the budgets before 12. But we have averaged almost $400,000 under budget that we've spent, which is great. We're still in dire straits, but we've managed our money well, and Mr. Lamb did a great job managing our money. So one of the things that was asked, let me skip that, and I'll come back to that last. I'm estimating, if you look at the funds that we had to borrow and what we think our costs are going to increase next year, that we probably need to find about $650,000 someplace between now and probably 24 months from now in order for us to be able to keep going. You know, the one thing that I have worked with Diane, and Diane's been wonderful. I'm not saying that just because she's right there and I'm afraid of her, but we've worked hand in hand, and she's been wonderful to go through the budget, and we're gonna work closely to make sure that we try to stick as close as we can to the budget items. I told somebody no today they couldn't buy something because their department was already over their budget. So unfortunately, it's gonna make some tough decisions. But we're gonna keep looking at all the expenses. We're gonna look to try to find ways to cut expenses. Diane has already found multiple things that we've done. We discovered that we had some accounts that we were not using, and so we've canceled those accounts through cell phones and other different things like that. It doesn't save us tons of money, but when you're talking about a little here and a little there, it's going to hopefully make a difference. You know, and if it can save a program, or if it can save a sport, or if it can save something like that, then it's worth trying to find those things. And then lastly, if you look at the last page, I just arbitrarily picked a number out and said 125% over budget. These are all the items that went over budget with an explanation of why they went over budget. And what you'll notice is some of them were simple coding errors. They were just coded wrong, and when they got put in the budget, they get put in the wrong spot. Or it was just a budgeting error, and a couple of these, a zero wasn't added at the end of the number. And so at the end of the year, you know, instead of having $2,000, we only had $200. There was a few other things that were included in this. We work with other districts. We don't have control necessarily of their hiring practices, so some of the things happened without our knowledge during the middle of the year that we were not anticipating. So that was a couple of the different overages that we had. But overall, I think the budget is a good picture of where we're at, and I'm not sure if anybody has any questions. Starting to get Dean's dry throat.
Mr. Frickin, I have a question for you. Since we're still in the hearing portion, we haven't closed that out. I have a question for you, just to be clear.
Well, you're supposed to do that earlier.
And then I got passed some information out that I have a question about, and he hadn't closed the hearing out, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
So my question is in regards to the budget and being under budget FY 12 through 15. Do you know what the cumulative taxes were increased for that same time period?
Yes. I have the total for the different local, state, and federal dollars. I have it listed out for funds 10, 20, and 40 is what I have.
Yes.
I think they were. It's in here. I mean,
Isn't it, it's a question like that though is very difficult to come up with an accurate, 100% accurate. Could I ask that he be given a little time to get back with you
Absolutely.
on that?
Unless I'm misunderstanding your question, on the second page, I mean, we had a decrease in local, state, and federal funding of 8.09%.
I think his question was how much did local taxes increase? We actually were under budget, if I understood it right. The school was under its budget in each one of those years, and he asked how much local taxes increased during those years.
Correct.
Okay.
The audited numbers in fiscal year 12 was 1.4 million. Fiscal year 13 was 1.2 million. This is just rounding. 14 was 1.2. It was about 30,000 less. Fiscal year 15 was 900,000. 16 was 1 million, and last year was 1.1 million. And local is what I have on my sheet here.
Those were the amounts, but it's not an actual percentage of what, I think that's what he was, so I think you might need to get back with him rather than try to find a hard number there. And then the other thing that I noticed from that discussion was despite being, was it almost 400,000 under the approved budget, we were still operating at a loss just
That's
due
correct.
to
We're
the lack
spending more
of
than we bring
funding.
in.
So even though that we had passed a budget and we were operating underneath it, overall the school district was still operating at a loss. So I mean,
Yes.
it's difficult to look at the numbers and say, oh well, you should have been fat then because you were operating under budget, but we lost money on each one of
We've
those.
operated a deficit budget for I don't know how many years now. Probably almost every year since 08, 09.
Mhm.
And we've lost almost $2.5 million in our balances, in our fund balances. So we've been slowly bleeding. And it's the state's fault. There's no other reason. Our local, like I said, the local taxes have gone up $500,000 in that time, which works out to be average of $50,000 a year. So the local folks have been kind of sustaining us, or trying to keep us above water a little bit. The state has completely fallen on their responsibilities to do what they're supposed to do.
I think that's across the state with school boards having
Absolutely.
to turn to their communities.
Absolutely.
More so, and the state wants it that way.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Then at this time, I need a motion to go back into the regular meeting. Moved by Mr. Perry, second by Mrs. Towers. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those those opposed say no. Motion passes. And I guess go to item D, move the second reading of FY 2017 budget.
So we just need a motion to
Yeah.
approve, unless there's more questions.
I'll move we approve the second reading.
Motion by Mr. Parrish,
Second.
second by Mr. Haas. We will roll call that. I'll start it with aye.
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 Motion passes. Under new business, item A, establish graduation date.
One of the things that has been done, that we've historically done, is we've held graduation the Sunday, probably the last 5 years, I would guess, the Sunday before Memorial Day. And it would be to our benefit internally to have that date set earlier than later. So I'm asking the board to approve that date, which I believe is May 21st, 2017 for graduation.
I need a motion to move graduation date for 2016-17 school year for Sunday, May 21st, 2 p.m. in the main gym.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Parrish,
Second.
second by Mrs. Towers. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes. Item B, use of building by walkers for 2016-17 school year.
We've been doing this for quite a few years, opened the building up, and we have a handful of residents that come in and will use our facility, especially when it gets cool, to walk and exercise.
Need a motion to approve opening the gym for walkers, or the building. Moved by Mrs. Towers, second by Mr. Parrish. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes. Item C, application for recognition of schools by ISBE for the 2016-17 school year.
This is the recognition, the form we have to fill out with the Illinois State Board of Education, which actually allows us to officially give out high school diplomas.
They need a motion to approve the application of recognition by ISBE.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Haas,
Second.
second by Mr. Parrish. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion passes. Recognition of parent support groups for 2016-17 school year.
It's annual business for the board to recognize our two parent groups, the Midget Athletic Booster Club and the Band Parents Club. And these are the two programs that run underneath the schools. They basically run independent, but they run because of the schools allowing them to run. All their finances are reviewed by the auditor at the end, so I recommend that we recognize both these clubs to function again this school year.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the parent support groups. Moved by Mrs. Towers, second by Mr. Haas. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes. Approve Southwestern Illinois Career and Technology Education Board of Control designee change.
So this is a board, one of the boards, many boards that Mr. Lehman was on. Unbeknownst to me, I was the his designee to replace him. What's that?
You weren't here that.
I don't know that I've missed many, but so in order for us to be a part of this, and this is the vocational group that we actually get $40,000 to use. I could have that number wrong, but we get a nice chunk of change, and so they need our board to approve me as the designee, and actually Miss Jung as my alternate. So we get that on record.
Okay, I need a motion to
I'll move.
Okay, moved by Mr. Parrish, second by Mr. Haas. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes. Item 12, board correspondence. None. Agenda items, none. Looks like we need to go into closed session for topics related to personnel, employment, compensation, evaluation, benefits, employees, real estate, student matters, and litigation. Motion. Moved by Mrs. Towers, second by Mr. Parrish. Start the voting with Mr. Haas.
Aye.
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 Motion passes. In closed session. Thank everybody for coming out tonight.